joined by the lighthouse keepers. And you'll hear in a minute why we're calling them the lighthouse keepers. So you've seen the pictures in the video of the wonderful lighthouse that was put together by Rebekah Helsius, which shows the different pathfinders on the various sites, and it showcases our state conferences and where our Pathfinder clubs are. And so we are now going to meet Becky and Elgin Zeismer, who are the ones who helped to put this up together. But first I want to start off by asking Becky about how this idea came about to have this lighthouse.
Well, a few months before the Chosen Camporee.
So this was back in 2000.
It was 2018.
2018,
I believe, at the end of that year. I got a call when I was on the way home from a church board meeting late one night, and it was Pastor Eric Chavez, who was the youth director of Wisconsin at that time. And he said he had been together with other youth directors in a meeting, and they were discussing the fact that the Lake Union did not have an entrance of any kind for the Camporee. They had never had one, and they would really want to have one, but they weren't sure what to do or who to find to be able to design something like that. And so he thought of us, because he knew us well. We had done things for him at Wisconsin, and so he gave me a call, asked if we would be interested or willing, and I said, well, I'll go home and talk to Elgin and Becca, and we'll see what we come up with.
Okay. So on your way from this board meeting, it seems like that's when a lot of calls usually come in. So then you go home, talk to your husband and your daughter.
Yeah. So immediately we were very intrigued and excited by the idea, because we also felt like the Lake Union really needed an entrance. We've been to other camporees and we've seen other Union entrances, and we thought, man, we need something.
Absolutely.
Something that fits who we are and what our mission is and our ministry is. So we started brainstorming, and I guess I came up with the idea first of a lighthouse. I said, well, we are the Lake Union. Every one of our conferences touches one of the Great Lakes. And so it seems like it fits us, who we are. And then it just went from there. I think all of us chiming in with ideas, yes, and we could do this, and we could have that. And God just really led, I think, in the development of the whole idea.
Yeah, and I mean, I can just imagine the ideas going off, and in terms of like a light that will, always be flickering on, and the different clubs that are represented.
Yeah.
Say no more. I see exactly how, in terms of one thing, kept on leading to another. And so it's just amazing how it all came together. So one of the things for this year, putting this up, because last Camporee, that's when the lighthouse made its debut.
Yes, it was.
And that was a Chosen Camporee.
Yes.
And so we'd have just seen some video of Rebekah talking about how that was put together with the Chosen logo. And so with this one, there is the Believe the Promise logo that's also on one of the panels.
Yes.
That's there. So that's one of the things that's different, probably, from the last Camporee.
Yes, Becca created that panel for this Camporee so that it's still fresh and new and appropriate for the event.
So you can update it every single different events that we have without like tearing it totally apart and doing something totally new.
The majority of it stays the same. Some comments have been made that not every club is now represented, because on each state there's a map, and the lights are representing where there is a Pathfinder club in that region or in that that state. And so there's new clubs that have formed since the Chosen Camporee, and unfortunately we can't update all of those maps every time, but still it gives a really good representation of how the Pathfinder ministry is sprinkled across and around the Lake Union area.
That's right. And I think you were also saying that the lighthouse, because in every one of our states there is a lighthouse. And so that's one of the reasons too. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk with Elgin because he was the one responsible for constructing this lighthouse. And so last year you got it put up, but this year there was a wrinkle in the plans. Tell us what happened, because this almost never got put up this year.
This about, a year ago in January, I had a heart attack. And so the follow-up appointment for this year after that showed that we might need something else to do. So they did a heart cath, and at that heart cath it was decided that I was going to need open heart surgery. And
serious surgery.
Like a triple bypass. But before all that happened, our chef for Camp Wakanda, her husband, because they're there quite often, they were talking that I needed some help. So he suspended his work to come and volunteer for the summer, for a few months before and after the summer, and that all happened before we knew anything that I was going to be gone. So Chad has been able to learn what he needed for me to carry on while I wasn't there, and we were able to postpone the surgery until after our camp meeting there.
Because that was another big thing, because you are the camp ranger.
I'm the camp ranger, yes.
At Camp Wakanda. So
they had, first we're going to schedule it for a camp pitch, and then we're going to schedule it for camp meeting. I said it's going to go a little bit farther. And so right after camp meeting, I had the surgery, which puts us about a little over 4 weeks to leaving to come here. And so the thing was, the first 3 weeks, I couldn't breathe, just with various things, and then I had fluid on my lungs. So the Monday before we're leaving, they took the fluid off my lungs, and I'm a little better. I can breathe a little easier. But it's like Thursday. If I'm not a million times better, we're not leaving. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I was a million times better, but
mentally, you were ready.
But come Monday morning, we got in the truck and
came down.
Headed out here.
All right. So Becky, okay, go ahead.
So my restrictions with all this is not lifting, pushing, or pulling. So I'm probably stretched out a little bit, working with trying to get things just right. But yeah, okay.
So, knowing what you knew and coming here, what was going through your mind? Because I can only imagine.
Yeah, well, I honestly was not real anxious about it, because I felt that this is God's problem. If He wants this lighthouse to be put up at the Camporee, He will have to figure it out and work it out. And so I knew every day I was asking Him, how do you feel? How are things? And, we did not know until for sure that we were going to come until about 3 days before we needed to leave, because we had to get here a week before everybody else comes in order to be able to do this work.
Yeah.
So it was 3 days before that he got the approval from his doctors to come, and that he knew that he would feel well enough. But all the weeks or the days leading up to that, I just made plans that it was going to happen, and did the things and all the prep work, that we needed to do, because you can't decide you're going one day and leave the next day for an event like this. There's a lot that goes into it. We had to gather things. We had some of the things that we needed, some of the parts for the lighthouse at our house with us. The rest of it was all in Michigan, in Berrien Springs. So we had to trust that was all going to make it and arrive safely. We brought some things extra, we might need a welder, things that we thought we might need to repair or, have on hand.
Yeah.
And so all of that got loaded up. I got people to help since he couldn't really help with any of that. And
although we saw pictures, when it was putting together and
but at the same time, he was the integral piece of setting it up because no one else really knows every step and what to do and how it goes together. And so he was here. We said, it's okay, you can just be the director and tell everyone else what to do.
And did he do that?
He did a pretty good job with it. Everyone that came to help, I let them know that what his limits were. I said, if you see him trying to do something that you think maybe he shouldn't be doing, please don't hesitate to say something.
Gotcha.
Because we need to all work together to make sure he's safe and yet we can still get the work done.
So in closing, the lighthouse and what it represents, talk about that from a spiritual perspective.
Well, in all of our discussions, we wanted it to be clear that the whole ministry and mission of Pathfinders is to be a light to the world and to be a light in our regions, each of us where we are. Pathfinders, if you're coming from a small conference and a small church and you haven't been exposed to the worldwide, you feel insignificant. But when you come and you see really what you're a part of, you know that you're not insignificant at all. And however small or large our territory is, we can be a light that shines in the darkness, and that, like a lighthouse does for the ships on the ocean, leads them to safety.
Amen.
That is what our mission is, and we wanted to portray that for all of our clubs, all of our churches, and the people that have a part of this mission.
And leading them to safety. Well, I thank you so much for all that you have done, the idea and putting it there, and there it is, a tangible representation of being a beacon of light, ushering folks to safety. And so thank you so much for talking with us, and thank you so much. And I wish you all the best as you are here for the rest of the time and as we go forward. Thank you so much for joining us.